All right, Vince. Marcus Freeman talked last week about how there's a different feel to the Notre Dame USC game when it's played at the end of the season in Los Angeles compared to when the Trojans visit Notre Dame in the middle of the season. Do you buy or sell making Notre Dame USC the last game of the regular season every year?
It's a huge buy for me. And I've talked about it a little bit on this show. Not this show, one of the shows. I don't know. I've talked to my laptop about it before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You spoke to the camera and said.
Yes. So with USC going to the Big Ten, that's going to shuffle some of the, the way the schedules work out, right?
Yep.
The way the Big Ten operates, at least right now. Now, it may change when they start bringing in new people, right? But the way it works out right now, for the most part, all the non-conference stuff is at the beginning of the season. Now, you could, if you're USC, you go in and you say, we want this game at the end of the year every year. Then that's fine. Then that's how they're going to schedule things, just like Ohio State, Michigan's the last game of the season. There's ways that you can make this happen, right? I don't think that they're going to be able to do the middle of the season, end of the season, middle of the season, end of the season thing that they've been doing this whole time. I personally would love to have this game at the end of the year every single year. And especially with the fact that USC is on the incline. I think Notre Dame is on the incline. Mm-hmm. And when you have two elite teams facing off with each other the last game of the season, that's awesome.
Exactly.
I want that all day long. People are like, well, then you got too much on the line at the end. It's a 12-team playoff, baby.
I love it.
You're playing for seeding, number one, as well as bragging rights. Would
you rather have Notre Dame playing USC every year at the end of the schedule, or continue this? Oh, we're going to Northern California now. We're going to play Stanford in a completely meaningless game.
Yes.
If you had Notre Dame USC at the end of the season every year, that becomes part. It's right there. It's already a great rivalry, but I think it would become even more magnified in the same realm, especially now that USC is going to be playing in a Midwestern Conference, against Michigan and Ohio State. It puts it right up there in relevance. It jacks the relevance of this rivalry up even more, because you play it in the mid, like when they come to South Bend, when they come to Notre Dame, and you're playing in the middle of October, then it's like, there's some cachet to it, but it's not nearly, there's not nearly the meaning to it like when it's the last game of the regular season, because there might be implications for one team, there might be implications for both teams. And as you said, with both teams on an upward track, there's more likely than not going to be playoff implications for both of these teams for the next several years. Yeah, so I think it would be great. I think it would be awesome. And because of what you said, because USC is going to the Big Ten, things are going to have to get reconfigured anyway. If Notre Dame wants to keep Stanford, then just make Stanford home and home in mid-October every year, because it doesn't deserve near the stature that it gets right now with this alternating in November thing.
And, there's going to be the UCLA USC game, right? That's going to be something that they're going to play every year, but that's now a conference game anyway, and it will continue to be if UCLA follows through and comes to the Big Ten. One of the posters says USC won't go for that. Okay, I get that to a degree. First of all, USC is not going to be the one to say we're done with this rivalry.
But they're not going to have a choice about if they have to go to Columbus in November, or Ann Arbor or East Lansing, or wherever.
There's too many cold weather teams that you're going to have to go to.
They're going to have to go on the road at least twice as of right now in the month of November to play Big Ten teams.
Exactly. So
there's no reason not to anymore.
And the Big Ten's going to have a big say about what their schedule looks like. Big say. But the Big Ten is going to have way more say over your schedule than the Pac-12 did, because you're not the big fish anymore. You're a big enough fish that they wanted you in, but you're not the big fish. You're already taking a back seat to Michigan and Ohio State, right? So you're not going to have the say that you think you're going to have coming into the Big Ten. I firmly believe that. So they're going to have to play someplace in the snow. And I'm all about that being South Bend, at least every other year.
I completely agree.
We'll see.
I think it would be great, again, for the rivalry. I think it would be great for college football. And I can't remember if RJ Abadia, and if you listened to the whole thing the other day, he was telling me, and I can't remember if he told me this before or during the interview, because we talked about a few things before the interview, we hit the record button, but he was saying that the reason USC and Stanford have to play in September every year right now is because of that alternating November schedule that they each have with Notre Dame, because every other year, each of them have to step out of Pac-12 play at the end of the season. And so because of that, the Pac-12 has made them play one of the earliest conference games every year in September because of their, now again, that's going to change because USC is pulling the plug and jumping out of there. So,
right. They're probably not going to play Stanford anymore. Lucky them.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Okay, fill in the blank. Kind of on the same topic here, a little bit anyway. The Thanksgiving college football schedule filled with rivalry games. Notre Dame, USC, Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State, the Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn. But if the college football playoff expands, there's a good chance that all these rivalry games are going to have to move off the Thanksgiving schedule, basically be played at least a week earlier to accommodate the playoffs. And they'd probably be replaced by conference championship games Thanksgiving weekend. So that would be blank if that happens.
It'd be unfortunate, but it wouldn't be the end of the world because for me, that's must-see TV anyway, regardless of what weekend it's on. Now, it's nicer that it's Thanksgiving weekend because you've got more days and you can kind of spread those games out. Like we had a couple on Friday night and, you can spread them out a little bit more. And so that's always nice. I'm still going to watch all of those games if it was the weekend before as opposed to Thanksgiving week. So it loses a little bit of its luster, but not a whole lot because I'm still going to watch it. And the conference game, unfortunately, so for this season, for example, so if we took this season and we put it, a couple of years from now, and you look at these conference championship games, which one of these conference championship games are you really looking forward to watching? Because none of them really light my fire, if I'm being honest.
They're all anticlimactic.
They are. I mean, do I want to see Georgia win big? Yeah, I do. But I don't think the outcome is in any kind of flux, right? I don't think the outcome's in flux in the Pac-12. I don't think the outcome's in flux in the ACC. Those games just don't. The rivalry games are more exciting. That's better football, I think, than some of these championship games. Yeah,
and that's Chi-Town says he's sticking with tradition, and that's kind of part of what's going to stink is you're going to. That's to me one of the bigger downfalls of the expansion of the playoff, and really. It's not just the expansion of the playoff, but realignment has done it as well. A lot of the traditions and rivalries are going away. And again, that's why I think it would be cool going back to the Notre Dame USC thing to have that part of the whatever tradition you can create that's always going to be at the end of the season, just like Michigan and Ohio State, just like Alabama and Auburn. Where that happens to fall on the calendar, I think is really kind of irrelevant. It's cool right now to have it Thanksgiving weekend. You've got the extra day, Black Friday and all that stuff. And obviously you're off on Thursday, but that's still more in NFL day. But it's it's kind of cool to have it that weekend just because you've got a longer holiday, a longer time off and all that kind of stuff. It's cool to have it. If you bump it up a week, it's still going to be there. It just kind of gets more compacted, I guess. You can't throw a few of them on Friday. LSU, Arkansas used to be one of those rivalries as well. And that's kind of been pushed aside as well, after the SEC has continued to expand. And, that used to be played on Friday not that long ago. But, you still get to play them. So I think that's cool. But so it'd be a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, you still get the games. Right. And that's all that matters.
Because right now, if this was an odd numbered year, right? Notre Dame's playing Stanford on rivalry weekend.
Yeah.
Stanford is not Notre Dame's rival. That is.
See, and again, it's Notre Dame, Stanford, Notre Dame, USC versus you've got Michigan, Ohio State going on on the same day. What game stands out more to you if you could have it every year on the same? If you could have Notre Dame, USC every year at the end of the night after you started the day with Michigan, Ohio State.
Sign me up every year for that.
Every lose, baby.
Year. Yeah, every year.